Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I feel bad that I am not able to make it during non-pandemic times to the once-a-month community poetry event that would happen, hosted by Tom Woodruff at Half Price Books on North Lamar in Austin, Texas. It would run from 1 till 3, and I would always read material from new book releases. In honor, I feel bad that I can't do that with him right now because of the COVID-19 coronavirus times, but I thought that I would read material from an older book of mine that I am hoping to get material together for an audio CD. Most of the poems that I have within this book, Closed Cover Before Striking. This is a book from the first printing with that crazy green cover, which is probably diminished over the years, just from exposure to sunlight, but it has been reprinted with the appropriately matched book title for Closed Cover Before Striking. There are editorials and longer pieces of prose in this, and I thought I would use this normal community poetry time from Tom's open mic. This is not community poetry. This is just something I'm doing because I can't be with him during this time, to share editorials from this book that would go toward the release of an audio CD. So I'm going to share with you two. This first one, get to the beginning there. I'm going to save the Christian Coalition and the Religious Right for the second story. This first one I'm going to share with you is called Medicine and Women. A few years ago, I felt so much pain in my joints that I couldn't walk or pick up a carton of milk in the morning. At age 21, I limped and ached. My right ankle, my left knee, my right hand, they were swollen. I was also sore on my back and my shoulders. I cried in pain daily. I went to the first doctor. He x-rayed my hand, told me that I may have jammed thumb, but there would be no evidence of it in an x-ray, and that the pain and the swelling would just go away. So then I went to the second doctor. There may be a stress fracture in my right foot, he said, but it was nothing serious. There were no drugs prescribed for the pain, and he handed me an ace bandage and a pair of crutches and headed me out the door. I went to my third doctor, who happened to be one of the first female doctor I saw. She put all the symptoms together and thought I may have a form of arthritis. She referred me to a specialist at a nearby hospital. She was the first doctor who listened to me. Every other experience of mine was of a doctor addressing only one of the problems I mentioned and then brushing the problems off as minor. I felt as if I was getting nowhere in discovering the root of my illness. I felt as if no one wanted to help me. A friend and co-worker were recently hospitalized with an ulcer. When she came back, the pain still remained, especially during menstruation. She always had severe menstrual cramps, and with the ulcer present, there would be days at the office when she would have to lay down underneath her desk until the pain went away. Sometimes the pain would make her cry at her desk. Once I had to help her walk to her train station in the middle of the day because she had to be bedridden and she didn't know if she could walk the block to the train without collapsing. I didn't want to go back to the hospital after being admitted for days with an ulcer, she said. She told me about the unfortunate things that she felt, the way she felt with her male doctors, that the doctors she had never listened to her, that she felt they dismissed her problems as all in her head. I told her to see someone and to tell them how she felt, even if she had to be belligerent. She was paying for and had the right to a proper treatment. She finally saw a doctor, then another. A few times it was suggested to her to go on the pills since hormonal therapy may reduce the cramps, but she took that advice from a doctor years earlier, and she knew the pills made her more violently moody and often didn't help with the pain. No one suggested other alternatives to her. She followed her doctor's orders blindly. My grandmother was feisty and a strong woman in her mid-80s. Her bowling average hovered around 176. As she lived alone in a condominium, our family had dinner together weekly with her. While I was away at school, I started getting phone calls from my family about how my grandma hadn't been feeling well. She went to a doctor complaining of stomach pain, and this diagnosis is that she had a yeast infection. She told them she knew her body well enough at this point in her life to know that she didn't have a yeast infection, that a yeast infection wasn't causing this pain. She thought his diagnosis was ludicrous. The doctor brushed her off. She told us this. We told her to get a second opinion. She saw another doctor. The stomach pains persisted, and due to the cold weather, her asthma was acting up. She was always out of breath, tired, in pain. Still no answers from the doctors. He told her that it was probably a stomach flu and that she'd be fine soon. He gave her a prescription. Within 2 weeks, she was in the hospital with a laceration in her stomach. The laceration was worse because she had it for a while and wasn't treated. Strong acidic fluids were seeping through her body and infecting other organs. She was admitted to the hospital on a Friday. By Saturday morning, she was dead. I told friends about my grandmother's experience with the doctors. More than one person mentioned that my grandmother's next of kin could have probably won a lawsuit against the doctor who misdiagnosed her, especially when she complained to us when she was still alive, and he still didn't listen to her. But the problem was deeper than that. That doctor, like the ones myself and my friend had been to, didn't think he was doing a poor job. If you asked him, he probably would have thought that he was doing a perfectly good job. The problem was as simple as not listening. Those doctors didn't take us seriously. Simply put, they didn't listen to us. Why? Is it that all doctors are callous? No, from my experiences alone, I know that there are female doctors who were helpful and they took me seriously. Was it the male doctors didn't listen to anyone and female doctors did? Not from what I knew. Stories like these of doctors ignoring patients' feelings and statements are relatively foreign to men I talk to. In fact, often when I mention stories like this to a woman, she usually has another story like it to add to the list. It almost seems that most women I know don't feel comfortable with a male doctor, but men don't feel that way at all. Most men don't feel that way because they've never had that problem. They've always been listened to. They've had doctors pay attention to them. They have received better treatment on the whole than women. That's the problem. I decided since that last bout with the doctors that from now on I would see a female doctor whenever I could. But that doesn't solve the problem either. I should be able to go to a doctor, no matter if the physician is male or female, and feel confident that I will get the medical attention I need. But I don't feel that confidence. Neither do a lot of women. Okay, I've got one that will be a little bit shorter for you, and it'll be the end of the 2-story live reading for you guys. This one, is called The Christian Coalition and the Religious Right. Because of the religious ties the Christian Coalition has with the Republican Party, the platform in Americans' conservative politics, particularly when it comes to life and death decisions, is riddled with oxymorons and philosophical fallacies. Not that there are not discrepancies with the theories with the Democratic Party, but the Liberal Party and leftism in general, though nonsensical to some, is at least consistent with its views. The involvement of the morals of Christianity in the Conservative Party are what give the Republican platform the additional inconsistencies. For instance, the Christian Coalition and Christianity in general is supposed to take the stance that all life is sacred, that no one has the right to take life except for Christ. Hence the pro-life movement becoming a primary political issue. However, the Republican Party, supported by the Christian Coalition, also is in favor of the death penalty. Now, I personally can see reason for argument on the issue of abortion, though I do not see the reason for the intensity of the debate politically when it's not even a political issue, but a philosophical one. Besides, there are many other political issues that have to be taken care of that have already been neglected. People can argue that the rights of a woman are infringed. People can say that a fetus is not a viable human being, while others can argue the opposite. However, there is pretty much no argument that a prisoner, a person convicted of a crime in the United States, is in fact a viable human being. I would think that it would follow, with the logic of Christianity, that if life, the life of the prisoner, the life of a person who's committed whatever crime our judicial system found them guilty of, is just as viable a life as that of an unborn fetus. It would also follow that since Christians cannot, their own code of ethics, be the ones to decide who lives and who dies, only Christ can, they cannot give the government or the judicial system the right to decide who can die. Yet, this is the stance of the Republican Party as a whole, which is backed by the Christian Coalition, it takes. The scenario also applies to the government's ability to call and draft and declare war on another country. A Christian cannot claim allegiance to an organization or a government according to their own doctrines that commands them to go against their religious codes. A Christian, under no circumstances, is able, according to the New Testament, to kill another person, even if they have been commanded to do so by another person, organization, or government. Yet, many people that volunteer for duty with any one of the branches of America's armed forces, and are not merely drafted and forced to go, are Christians, and see no problem with following orders to kill someone else. Even if a Christian was drafted, they should, according to their beliefs, peacefully protest and refuse to go into battle. If that required leaving the country, that should be done, because a Christian's allegiance to their country is less important than their allegiance to their God. This reasoning would be the only line of action that would be in accordance with their beliefs. Wow. Holy cow. And people never take that argument, do they? But I'm sorry, I'm a Christian, I can't kill. Muhammad Ali said, I'm going to protest because of my religious beliefs, when he wasn't going as Muhammad Ali. And that worked as a religious argument. The same argument works for Christianity. But they seem very high and mighty and going to war anyway. I shouldn't be talking and babbling that much. I should be taking a break before I do a next reading from this book for you. Close cover before striking. The original copy, I'm sorry that this copy doesn't exist anymore because it's a one-time printing job. But close cover before striking, you might get more editorials soon. And I hope everyone is remaining safe right now in Corona times. And stay safe, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you very much.